You're listening to the WannaBes Mobcast.
Thanks for taking the time, man. Super appreciate it. I'm sure you got plenty of stuff going on. So,
yeah, I was just actually changing tires on the bike to go down to Arizona. So,
okay. Oh, you're coming closer to us. We should have met you there. Arizona's
like
not
a
far.
live interview.
We want to, yeah. That's the goal eventually. But people are spread out all over the place. So.
A few years from now, we'll just fly you in to have the interview.
Right.
It'll be a whole different experience.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
Totally. That's coming. Stay tuned. You want to, so why don't we do this? We'll start with, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, sort of, how you got into the sport, where you came from, what you're up to, whatever it is that you tell people you do, give your elevator pitch. We'll start there.
Well, I don't really have an elevator pitch, but I'll go for it. Well, so I'm 19 years old. I live in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene area. I originally raced arena cross when I was little, but then slowly got into enduro, and that's a story in itself. And just been posting YouTube videos, Instagram videos, and chasing the Enduro Cross series.
Nice. Having fun?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, this is such an awesome way to grow up.
It looks like it. I missed out on this as a kid. One of the things I always wanted growing up was a dirt bike, and my dad wasn't having it. So I was probably in my 30s before I started riding, which was a shame. But,
Yeah,
you're
talking to like two of the most jealous guys in the world.
Yeah, no kidding.
As long as you're riding, you're right.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
So
19, that's wild. We kicked off this podcast series talking to Jarvis, and obviously he's sort of on the older end of the spectrum, and it was kind of fun to talk to him about, kind of get some advice from he's sort of our hero and a mentor in some ways. And, but I feel like talking to you, like I'm the old dude, like, what's it like being that young and sort of in the competitive sport? How does that feel?
There's a lot to learn and a lot to look up to. So right now I'm expecting mistakes to come my way. I'm trying to take in as much information as I can to progress in the future.
That's fair. Sounds reasonable. I remember at your age, like I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was kind of bouncing all over the place, in and out of school and all sorts of things. So
yeah,
props to you for having something you're like committed to. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
So with you, I was kind of, stalking you on Instagram and YouTube. It looks like it's kind of a family sport. Just kind of tell us a bit more about kind of how you got into it. Like, was your dad into riding, or, just kind of where did it all start for you?
Well, so my dad, he originally did, like that 90s motocross, all that stuff, because that was big, all like the fancy colors. But, and the two strokes, don't forget the two strokes.
Back before they were illegal.
Yeah. But, yeah, he did motocross, and eventually he just decided to try enduro, cross countries, and all of a sudden I started racing. And it's like, okay, we'll just do the local arena crosses. Because, they're just bumps for us, just going over. Dad's chasing us, 50 cc's. But yeah, eventually I moved up to the 85cc, and there's these kids that are like my age on the 85s hitting a 75-foot triple at the local. And my dad's like, yeah, no. I mean, when they case it, they're like goners, dude. So he's like, yeah, we want to keep you on the ground. So we started transitioning into EnduroCross because the local promoter put on Enduro Crosses. And from there, it just took off.
Yeah.
Very cool.
No, that's no joke. I mean, so my cousin, or my nephew, he wasn't big in the motocross scene, and he hit a jump down at the local track here and ran out of gas midair. There was nothing he could do, and he cased it, and the foot peg tore up the underside of his knee, and chewed up a bunch of cartilage and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, gravity only works one way. I mean, it's an unforgiving element.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what down in, I think it was Texas. We have our little Idaho group that goes down and follows the Enduro Cross series. And my friend, he hits a tire double and it bucks him and he goes over the bars and the bike chases him. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, you gotta get away from the bikes. I broke my spine last year, I think last December, so almost a year ago. I cracked my spine it was just a stupid hill climb, and like I screwed up the dismount. And I thought, usually the bike plants on the side of the hill, and that's the end of it, right? And but this one like tipped my way and actually fell on me and folded me up. So yeah.
Gosh,
you want to get away from the bikes.
Yeah, and they say enduro is safe,
right? That's what I thought. Like hill climbs, like what could go wrong? The bike's just gonna stick on the hill and you're fine, right?
Until it's like chasing you down, you're trying to run away from it.
Run now. Yeah. That's funny. But it looks so your brother rides also, right? Like how does that, where you guys get competitive? Like how does that work out? It's kind of a family sport. That's pretty cool. Yeah,
we get competitive. I mean, it's just brotherly competition, I mean, there's nothing much to it.
Yeah, fair enough. How old is he? Like, is he like chasing you through the competitions, or does he ride in some of the events that you do, or are you guys splitting them up, or how's that work? Oh yeah, so pretty much every race that I do, my family's there and he's going to do it. So he's 16 years old, and right now he's actually, I think he's in the lead for the AMA Amateur Enduro Cross Championship. Oh, nice. That's awesome. So who rides better? Trick question, don't answer. But so you said that your parents kind of support you in this. It looks like I'm imagining that at your age your parents are pretty involved. What does that look like? Like my dad never wanted me to ride, so that was kind of out. But that's pretty awesome that your dad's helping out. Your parents are helping out. They're our main support right now. I mean, just emotionally, financially, all of that. Always behind our backs, pushing us to do better, helping us out. Without them, I would not be where I'm at today. That's so awesome. Cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Well, I think we should jump into, just the riding. Obviously, I've spent, like both of us, we spent quite a bit of time like watching, your riding, your techniques, and just your progression, basically since we started following you. And
you're killing it. You're making me jealous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like you're doing stuff that I,
yeah, one day, right?
Imagine, yeah. We're building our track right now in the backyard, so it's one of those things where we're gonna work on developing. But like, just kind of curious to know, about kind of your technique progressions, things that you've learned along the way. Like, what do you think is the most important kind of technique to learn for somebody who's trying to develop the skill of EnduroCross?
I feel like double blip and balance. I mean, so we've been having more K-rails, jersey barriers in Enduro Cross. I haven't even gone over a K-rail. Well, I take that back. I went over a K-rail for my first time last year. And I mean, that's just a skill in itself, learning to go over a K-rail. It translates into going over the tractor tires, over massive logs. So learning that technique, I feel like really benefits. So talk about the double blip technique. So a lot of our viewers are kind of, probably in our age range, and they're working on basic skills like that. So can you take like 2 minutes and sort of explain how that works? Yeah, I could try my best. But so how I explain it, I always use a log, for example. You want to approach the log, give it probably about half or quarter throttle, and pop the clutch to get the front wheel 3/4 of the way up the log. And so when you get your front wheel there, you kind of want to push down the suspension to preload it and pull the clutch and let it out again to get it to hop over.
This is off the obstacle. Like once your front wheel taps in.
Yeah. Once your front wheel gets there, then you do that second blip to get you to go up it.
So obviously there's a ton of clutch control that goes into that. Are you running like stock clutches, or do you use lighter springs or something to make that a little bit easier to handle? Like, I don't know, 1 finger, 2 fingered, right? Like,
so I was using a stock clutch in the Sherco, and then we switched to a manual, and it's been so precise for me. And I just use 1 finger. I use my middle finger. A lot of people use their pointer finger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For some reason, a lot of people think that I'm weird because I use my middle finger, but
I mean, it's a stronger pull. I imagine you get probably less tired doing that. I always find the lever hits my other finger though. Like,
you also get, you'll get more control over the handlebars too, which, if you get used to doing it, like it feels weird at first.
Right,
I've tried to do it, but like, I just like the feeling feels wrong to me. But like, yeah, I can see how it's like, you get more control over the handlebars. You get the same amount of control over the clutch. So it makes a lot of sense doing it that way.
Yeah. My brother, he uses pointer finger. So when I go riding with him, he says something. So I try my middle finger, and it just feels so foreign to me. I'm like, how do you ride like this? And he's like, how do you ride with your middle finger? So it's however you grow up, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
What you get used to, I guess. What techniques are you working on right now? Like, what's on your list of things you want to get better at?
Definitely being consistent and faster on the track.
Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, speed is definitely one of those skills that's like hard to develop. I don't know how anybody does that and is actually competitive. I mean, I think we're pretty good at like through the technical stuff, but like for the most part.
Well, there's getting through and there's getting through quickly, right?
Yeah. Doing it, like I could drag my bike over just about anything, but actually doing it with style and then making it look good is another thing altogether. Okay, so you mentioned you're riding a Sherco, well, obviously riding a Sherco. It's all your videos. I'm just kind of curious how, like...
Why Sherco?
Yeah, why Sherco?
How'd you get there?
Well, so we did Rev Limiter this year in the spring, and I went down with Inside Enduro, helping them out, set everything up, and they let me bring my bike down racing it. And my brother and I were on these, like, 2014 KTMs. They're pretty hammered, but, I mean, we did pretty good at Rev Limiter. And they were like, hey, we want to help you out this year. So that's how it started.
Dude, that's cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
How do you like the bike?
Oh my gosh. And like single track, you can just moto everything. It's crazy.
Nice.
What would you say like the biggest differences between coming off of a KTM onto a Sherco? Like, I mean, obviously there's geometry differences.
6-year newer bike.
I know virtually nothing about Sherco, so I'm just kind of curious. It's one of those names that I think everybody in the enduro community knows, but like, it's not like KTM, Husqvarna, Beta. You just kind of like you probably know somebody who rides. I don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, like you've heard the name, but the reputation's a little bit unknown. So like, what's it like? How's it different?
I used to have a 2012 KTM 350 XCF, and when I was riding that, it was a really heavy bike. Man, it felt like you were just wrestling a tank the whole time. But then I hop on the Sherco 300. And it's light. It's almost like a 2-stroke, but it's a 4-stroke. And I was able to just whip it through the woods on the Enduro Cross track. I feel so nimble riding through it. I even did Sticks and Stones, a hard enduro on it.
Yeah. And
it performed better than I thought it was.
Do you have any trouble finding parts for that? I had a Beta for a while. My first kind of real enduro bike was a Beta. And I couldn't find anything for it. Like I loved the bike, but parts, especially aftermarket stuff, was just so hard to find, like all the armor and stuff like that.
So the cool thing is when you do get the Sherco, it already comes with a fan. It comes with KYB. And granted, it comes with a skid plate, but it's not like the greatest skid plate. So getting a skid plate for me, just picking a certain thing and like going with it. We have SXS slide plate like an hour from my house. Like the guy.
Those are nice.
Yeah. So got one of those parts, I'd say, just online. They're there, but they're just more expensive than a KTM.
Right, because it's just not as readily available. It's not like they're selling thousands and thousands of them. They're selling a handful.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. It'll be interesting to see, like, how the bike performs over time for you. I'm super curious. Like, I've never ridden one. Like he said, we don't know anybody who does, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love KTM, but every giant in the industry needs a decent competitor.
Yeah, the competition's what keeps it interesting. That's why they keep getting better.
So KTM buys them.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Like they do
I'm sure that's coming.
Yeah.
We'll have blue KTMs all around now.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I guess Husqvarna is white KTM. So
Yeah. There you go.
we do need blue
But no,
KTM.
Definitely Sherco, I mean, they've been growing and trending. Everyone's been getting them, especially up here in the Northwest. I mean, dealers just can't keep them in, it seems like.
I think that's true. Like, especially with COVID, like everything's sold out. It's ridiculous. Prices are up, and you still like, even if you have money to buy, you can't find stuff like mountain bikes, whatever. It's all out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, a mountain bike. I ordered mine from like this sketchy website.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for like 6 months. Supposedly it's in New York now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I went to YT's website the other day. I'm like, I'm just going to check them out. And they were like, they were selling them like they were in stock. And I was like, sweet. So I threw it in the cart and was like, going to go check out. And then it's all shipping 2022. I'm like, come on. Not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
So, on the, while we're talking about the bikes, I'm just curious, and like, how do you set up the bike? Like, what is your preference in terms of things like, how you set up the tires? Do you use some inserts? Do you use tubeless bars? And are you doing anything special there? The whole thing. Just kind of curious how you set up the bike.
For a while, we ran tubes because V-Moto supplied us with tubes, and they were like 4-6 millimeter thick tubes. So it was hard to get a flat with them. But then all of a sudden, they're running mooses. I'm like, okay, we got to hop on this bandwagon. I mean, you don't get flats. It seems pretty good. But just setting it up, it's a pain in the butt for us. We still haven't really figured it out.
It looks hard. We run tubeless because it's, I don't know, relatively easy to set up. But I think moose is probably the way to go. If you're in competition, like a flat's a deal breaker, right? So
yeah. That's what we went down to Page, Arizona for a hard enduro. And my friend, same guy who actually flipped over at EnduroCross over the tire double, he ran a tube in the front and he got a flat. Like right off, I wouldn't say right off the bat, but it's like you drive all that way, you get a flat and you're done. Right. I mean, that's just a buzzkill.
Yeah, that sucks.
So that's some incentive to start running mooses,
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to try. Like, I've been running tubeless for so long now, and
for years. Yeah.
I feel like I kind of have to make the switch, even though just to say like I've tried it, but like I haven't had enough issues with tubeless yet to really make it.
I mean, they work, but they're not as like foolproof as moose, right? Like if you're in competition, it's got to work. Like, yeah, I think moose is probably the way to go. What about go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
We've had people who run a super soft moose and the tire folds and the moose pops out.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, no joke.
I didn't know that could happen.
That's happened just only a couple times. So it could be set up. It could be how he did it, but it was really interesting.
I wonder if it was like, I mean, I don't know anything about moose that much, but I know you have to like match the tire to the bib and stuff. So maybe it's like not sized properly or something like that. So it wasn't putting the right pressure on the bead. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning this moose thing myself. So
was it that the rim cut the tire and then the moose was popping out, or it just like came off the bead of the tire? And
yeah, the bead just came off and the moose just started hanging out.
Sucks.
That sucks.
I guess there's no perfect system.
Yeah. Have you? I'm totally random, off-topic question, but have you had anything take you out of a race like that? Like, what's your crazy story?
Take me out of a race. I remember on a 65, I was battling with this 150. It was an Enduro Cross. I'm like on his butt, chasing him. Last lap, chain snaps, right there. So my dad comes, we're pushing the bike off. I like raise my hands up and the whole like crowd just goes nuts, just little me. So
how old were you?
Gosh, on the 65, I was basing like off what bike I was riding. I never know what age I was. It was like, I was on 65 that year. I was on the 85 that year.
Dude, I love that. That's like your youth progression, like measure it in bike sizes. I love that.
Yeah.
Like you have a birthday when you graduate up the next CC, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's dope. I love it. Do you do anything like with your exhaust or your handlebars or like any armor you like or anything like that?
So handlebars and exhaust, we just leave it stock. At least on the Sherco, I really like the feel of the handlebars on the Sherco. And from the factory, it comes with the Acroprovic, however the heck you want to say it. I hear people say it 20 different ways.
I don't know. Some of those brands, I have no idea.
Like Gurney.
Yeah.
Like Liat and Liat.
Yeah.
Right.
We know what you're talking about. But.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, we just, on the Shercos, we just left that stock. But when I had my 2012 KTM, we bought a header pipe to give it a little more bottom end torque.
Nice.
But other than that, we leave that usually stock.
Okay. Cool. I got to ask, because there's some debate, like a lot of the guys that we ride with leave all their controls kind of in the stock, like upright position. So it's like parallel when you're like sitting on the bike. Do you move your levers around? Like, what do you do with that?
I used to run my levers kind of pointed down.
Right.
And then it seems like as I've kind of gone up through the years in skill and speed, I've kind of raised them up.
Really?
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird progression.
No, I'm like, why? Like, what got better for you or easier to manage that way? Like, what was it that prompted you to do that?
To
to raise them up. Like, why does that feel better?
When I was slower, I kind of stood up and rode with my elbows up, like standing up. But as I'm getting faster, I'm getting lower to the handlebars to the bike. So it's easier to use the controls. They're more level with my hands and wrists, and it feels comfortable.
Your butt's probably further back, like over the rear tire. Your whole body position is kind of back further. That's actually a really good point.
That's super interesting. Can I ask how tall you are? Like, I'm just thinking this through, like, because I'm thinking about doing bar risers. There's a whole background to it, but
if I say 6 foot, my brother's gonna get after me for it. So I gotta say like 5'11" 3/4. You know,
dude, that's exactly where I'm at. I tell people 6 foot, but I'm like, if I'm real, it's just shy.
Yeah.
Sweet. Do you so you run the bars at the stock height, or do you have like risers or lowering
stock?
Okay. I guess I just gotta like get more aggressive in my position. Huh?
You just need to ride harder. That's always going to be.
You need to learn to ride.
Everybody you talk to, it's like Graham Jarvis, who was like, "No, you just got to ride harder.
You just gotta ride better." Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Okay, fair enough. So one of the things that really appeals to me about some of your Instagram content actually is this track that you have. So like, we've been trying to get a track together for a year, and like all we have is a pile of logs so far, but like, check it out. Your track is awesome. So tell us about that. Like, how did that come to be? Have you always had it? Is that like a thing you grew up with, or is that more recent? What's the deal there?
When you look at my Instagram, you're probably seeing 4 to 5 different tracks. Really?
Okay. It seems like everyone in your neighborhood has one, by the way. Like, you're always going to these different tracks. I'm like, can I come ride these tracks?
Oh man. Like, what was it? Probably last year, 2 years ago, it was probably just our Enduro Cross track up here. And then in the past 2 years, like 4 or 5 more have just sprung up. Like our friends, they just built them. But so with my track, really it started out, I was just grabbing logs, moving them around, like dragging them, pushing them up a hill, like foot in diameter logs, just pushing them, dragging in the dirt. Hard. And like propping them up with rocks and like screws and nails, whatever I could find, just to make a course. And then flash forward to pretty much this year, we rent a skid steer, we get a friend skid steer, and we move dirt, move logs so much easier. It takes us like 2 days. Yeah. And the big tractor tires you see, the company's got to get rid of them. They have to pay to get rid of them. So we just take them for free.
Yeah. We talked to a guy that works for the Caterpillar factory locally. We're going to grab some, but same deal. Like they have them, they're tossing them. So yeah. And some of those logs get heavy though. Like, we're dragging them with a truck trying to move them. These things weigh like, I don't know, like a ton or something. Like, you can barely roll them.
Yeah.
If you don't have a tractor, it's hard.
Yeah,
that's like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. By hand, you got to get like 20 of your buddies to move it an inch, you know?
When we're old dudes too, we'll probably throw our backs out or something, try them. But you've got like, I mean, it looks like you've got your straps down, like some like steel straps or something. You've got a rock garden. Like, you got a lot of shit going on there. It's badass.
It's just, we kind of put it together over the years. Get this matrix done. And it's like, oh, our friend's got a whole bunch of rocks. I'm going to take them. You know, don't go dump them somewhere. I want them.
Yeah, nice. It's amazing how when you start building something like that, like all of a sudden everybody's got something that they're getting rid of. Like, we got a buddy that's got a bunch of concrete pipes, and we found, a stack of telephone poles out in the wilderness. It's funny because like when you go riding, I don't know, like maybe this is just a California thing because people dump stuff all over the place down here. But like, you see it and you're like, oh man, there's a log right there. I'm gonna go grab that.
Go get the truck and go get that.
Yeah.
We're just like collecting trash. It's bad.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, "There's all this trash in the yard." I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's what, every time I see someone walking by, I'm like out there on my bike, they just look at me like, what is he doing? Is he riding over that stuff? I mean,
That's awesome. So how long have you been? So you said a couple of years, but like, has the track helped like improve your riding? Like what's the, it looks like you spend quite a bit. I mean, according to Instagram, you spend a ton of time there. I'm assuming it helps, but.
Oh yeah. So the track, it's a really tight track because we really don't even live on like an acre of land. So this track, it's really condensed. It's small and tight. I feel like that really helps with my technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish we had a more like difficult rock garden where you had to pick your line instead of just like lean back and hope and get through it, you know?
You got to get some pretty big rocks though to stop a guy like you. Like we have some pretty gnarly rock trails up in the mountains around here. And it's the same thing though. Like once you get like decent-ish as a rider, you just get way back and stay on the throttle and you like bounce over just about anything, it seems like.
Yeah, well, I heard in an interview a long time ago, Cody Webb said to stay on the big rocks, more surface area. I mean, it just makes more sense.
Right.
But as an amateur, you see a lot of the guys that are going for the dirt.
Right.
And so in an Enduro Cross track, when you get 20 amateurs going in that dirt, it gets dug out. And all of a sudden they're hitting the holes, they're getting stuck, and it just turns into a mosh pit in the rocks.
That's super interesting. So like, you know, we're doing what we can to build skills. And I've kind of started to see that. Like we'll go up in the mountains and ride the rocks, just, you know, back and forth for a couple hours just to get some practice in. And I've started to feel that like, you know, you can kind of scoot across the tips of them, right? And you're just like skipping across, you know, the tops of the rocks. And it's so much smoother if you do it right, because you're not falling in the pits. You're not bouncing as much. Like I totally feel that.
Yeah. If you keep momentum, for sure.
Oh yeah. And then with balance, I mean, if you're just like hoping and like trying to fly across this like narrow thing of rocks and you fall off because you have zero balance, I mean, that's going to hurt, you know,
right. Especially if you're hustling, huh?
Yeah. But that's when we got a couple trials bikes for like some cross training. And I mean, you ride it for 30 minutes, you're going to drop all of your bad habits. It's crazy.
Nice. That's good to hear.
Yeah, no, that's actually the next bunch of questions that I wanted to ask was about cross training trials specifically. Like, how much time have you spent on a trials bike, and kind of how have you seen that develop your progression?
With the trials bike, I probably rode, I want to say once or twice a week at least. I wanted to make an effort just to keep those technical skills up and the balance and the clutch. But here recently, I kind of snapped the front end off. I'm not even joking. But
we saw your YouTube video with those bikes that you're like making fun of. Those things look badass. Like push starting and everything.
Okay, well, so the two trials bikes we got, I raced in the AMA Enduro Cross series.
Okay.
And I launched the trials bike off the tire double, and they're not made for that.
Right.
And so we think the steering stem snapped. It's been snapped forever, I guess. And it was just the forks holding everything together.
Wait, so you like actually entered the competition with the trials bike?
Yeah, they had a trials cross class where you race trials bikes.
But then it's like on the enduro track, you mean like?
Yeah.
Nice. And
so you get the 5 actual trials riders, and then there's 12-year-old me just sending it, zero trial skills, hopping on our double, you know? So.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So do you have a trials bike right now? Like, is it still something you're cross training on?
Yeah. So there's the one that's in half right now. There's the one in the back that my brother rides. And then we actually just recently got a 4-stroke Sherco 2006 trials bike.
Nice.
Very cool.
Do you just ride that like on the track? Or do you have like a special trials kind of course set up for that?
Well, so since our Enduro Cross track is like, it's pretty tough with like zero dirt ramped up to the logs, I just focus on certain techniques. It doesn't have to be like a 10-foot wall I got to practice to go up.
Right.
It's like a 2-foot log. You practice the same technique and you can apply it to many things. And then if we got a hard enduro race coming up, I'll take the trials bike, go up in the woods, find some rocks, find some logs, some technical steep sections to practice, locking the bars, slowly letting the clutch out and getting up a hill, you know?
Do you find those skills transfer really well to the enduro bike, to the big bike?
Oh yeah, night and day.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, now I have to buy a trials bike.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on our list for a while, but you know, we keep hearing mixed things. Like we know some guys who are like, you know, semi-amateur racers or whatever, and they'll tell us like, just ride the big bike. You know, you'll do fine. But I feel like a trials bike would be like a, I don't know, simpler way to get into some of the skills.
It kind of makes it so you can't do certain things like sit down in the same way. So you have to ride it a certain way, which I guess once you get into the habit of
Forces
probably
you.
transfers over in that way.
Yeah.
So do you do any other kinds of cross training? Like I know you said you're waiting on getting a mountain bike. Like do you do a lot of mountain biking? Do you have any kind of
so
there?
I really do think mountain biking translates a lot to dirt biking. Because so for an example, my friend, he was a local pro mountain bike racer. And he's like, I want to ride dirt bikes with you guys. I want to go do some enduro, kind of like trash my bike, do that fun thing. And so he gets on his Beta 300 and he's doing everything we're doing. And we spent like years on a dirt bike. And it's like, how are you doing this right now? I rode a mountain bike here recently down in Utah in the break in between rounds. And I noticed I put my weight back more and your feet are on the pedals. And when you think of a dirt bike, you have your feet on the pegs, you have your weight back, and you have maximum traction. And that's when it clicked. It's like, hey, this is another cross-training tool right here.
Yeah, you have to pick good lines too, like especially with the downhill stuff. You can't make as many mistakes. Dirt bikes are super forgiving, and you can
you have like
some big rocks,
much bigger tires. You have more contact patch and like stiffer knobs and all kinds of stuff that like, you can kind of screw up your corners a little bit and you'll still go around. I feel like on the mountain bike, if you screw it up, like you're just going to drop it. You're just going to wash out.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my mountain bike, so I don't really have much experience in that area, but I can't wait to get it and just start learning stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, it's helped a ton with lines, like just picking the right line, paying attention to the lines, making clean corners and things like that. But it's funny what you mentioned about like guys who are like mountain bikers. So one of the fastest guys that like rides in our club comes off of like pro mountain biking, and he's just wicked fast on the dirt bike. It's ridiculous, even though he's only been doing it like a couple of years now. So
exactly. Yeah.
It's awesome.
The other thing I think is motocross. I saw some clips of you riding a motocross track, but like I'm assuming you're doing some of that, and just and your dad came from a motocross background, so curious to see how that's helped you in kind of developing an Enduro Cross skill set.
So Enduro Cross over the years, as everyone knows, it's gotten more jumpy. So, I mean, what you got to do, you got to go out and learn some jumps, go out to a motocross track and just get used to balls to the wall, hauling butt, hitting big jumps.
They scare me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's what, I almost think some of the Enduro Cross jumps are sketchier than the motocross jumps, because you're having to go out of this 180 turn, hit this log, launch 40 feet and land on the downside of another log.
And they throw shit in the way too. Like, I see like even some of the stuff you're doing on your track, like that's like you're jumping one log or coming off one log and clearing like a couple in between. And I'm thinking like, man, like I would for sure put a front tire like right into the back of the next one or something and just eat it.
I would short that every time.
Yeah, like I don't know how you have like the balls to just like go for it like that. Like I can cross the logs no problem, but I don't know about jumping 2 or 3 at a time. Like I guess I have to work it up.
Yeah, so usually those videos, it's called a matrix section.
Yep.
And it's paired like you got 2 logs where you could get your bike in the middle, but it's not going to fit in between the gap. And so you have to learn to either tap your front wheel on each log so you don't fall in between and get stuck, or just jump it.
I guess we have to build that into our track.
Yeah, that was the thing that we noticed. So we set up our telephone poles, right? And it was like, oh, they look like they're like far apart, right?
When you're standing next to them, like off the bike, and you're like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, you're like, it's only like a bike width apart, and then you get in between them, you're like, shoot, I guess you really do have to.
No, as soon as you stand up on the bike, you're like, whoa, those are really close together.
Yeah, it's like every time you do a track walk, you're like, oh, I think I could jump that, wheel tap that, and you get out there and you're like,
I'm glad it's not just me. Nice.
Yeah.
What do you do? So it sounds like you're just getting into mountain biking. Do you do anything for like fitness? Like you I don't know, lift weights, run, or just ride the bike a ton? How do you stay in shape?
In the beginning of the year, I was lifting weights. I was going for runs every morning. I was trying to mountain bike. And then on top of that, in the afternoon, I would go try to do Enduro Cross or cross country or hard enduro practice. And I noticed when I rode, I felt like I wasn't riding to my full potential. I was kind of weak and tired, but I kept trying to do it. I'm like, oh, you're just being a baby, suck it up and grind, And then I was like, I'm going to take this week off. I'm just going to ride. And I started riding, and I felt like I actually progressed on my dirt bike and fitness wise by just riding my dirt bike and pushing myself physically on the dirt bike.
Interesting. I think Jarvis said something similar to us, like, just go ride the bike, like get out and do it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's the end thing. You could have a triathlon athlete, and even if they're a good, decent rider, technically, they're not going to do good endurance wise on a desert race, doing a dirt bike.
Yeah.
I think every sport's got like some new muscle that you didn't realize you had that'll, like you go running and all of a sudden your shins are sore or whatever, even if you're like in shape. So yeah, I think maybe just building those dirt bike muscles
Yeah. I mean, again, imagine there's a more strenuous exercise than going out for a hard ride. Like
it's pretty full body too.
It's everything.
Yeah,
like
arms and back and legs. Like
if you see the time to ride, 3-4 days a week or whatever, you're going to see those gains.
So are you in school right now? Like, how do you manage that kind of time? Is this like a full-time gig? Like what does that look like?
So I actually just graduated last year.
Congrats.
Thank you. Right now I'm just chasing that dirt bike dream.
That's awesome. And it looks like you're crushing it. So
thank you.
Very cool. What do you have like other hobbies that you chase at the same time or anything else you're doing? Like what's the lifestyle? What do you do when you're not on the bike?
Gosh, I mean, so much of it's been on the bike this past 3 months, A lot of it is hiking, camping, just that outdoor stuff. I mean, we go camping off the dirt bikes. I have a couple YouTube videos of that.
Saw those, yeah.
If you haven't done that, you so got to do it. It's the funnest thing ever.
We have, yeah. We've actually done a couple of those trips. It's a ton of fun. I think we took way too much gear. Like the packs threw me off the bike a couple times, but.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what, so do you guys know Gold Creek Lodge?
I've heard of it. I've never been.
Supposedly it's like the place to come to go ride single track in Idaho. But so our friends, we try to once a year, put all of our crap on our backs, on our bikes, and we ride up the gnarliest trail to the top of the mountain and we camp there for the whole weekend.
Dude, that's awesome. I saw some of those. So I was watching, I can't remember now the name of the trail. You did a video where you're like, I think you called it like full speed down and then the trail name or whatever. And that trail looks gnarly. Like I was like, dude, I actually sent it to John and was like, dude, we got to go ride this trail. This looks awesome.
So that's Pack Saddle up at Gold Creek Lodge.
That's right. Okay.
And that's what we go up with 50 pounds of gear on our back.
Dude, so when you were flying down it in that video, I was looking at that going like, ooh, I want to go like ride up. I wouldn't be fast, but I'd love to give it a shot.
Yeah, it's a must hit trail if you go up there.
That looks so fun. Yeah.
So well, I was going to ask questions about like riding in Idaho. I'm actually, I don't know, semi-interested in maybe moving up there at some point because, I mean, I don't know, it looks like a great place to live. And coming from California, it's just so dry down here. I'm just curious. I mean, so to be true to our channel, I don't want to ask like where are the good riding spots because, if you want to find out, like you can just go and ride Idaho until you find the good spots. Like that's the way it should be, right? But like, where are your favorite places to ride? Maybe not necessarily in Idaho, but like you said, you were going down to Arizona, and like I'm sure you've ridden most of or a lot of the the West Coast. So I'm just kind of curious to see where your favorite riding spots are, kind of generally geographically, not specifically.
Yeah. So I rode in Page, Arizona, and I mean that's like no other place in the world. Well, I mean I haven't like explored the world, but it's
fair enough.
It's just like 50-foot tall, just straight up rock, and you could go right up it like nothing. And I mean coming from here, it's like you need to like a double the size run up to get up it, but there it's like first gear, crawl right up it, and you're done. So that's probably the second most favorite place for me to ride. The first is up here, the Northwest. I mean, 3 hours from my house, I could be in snow, desert, woods. It's awesome.
What's the like community, I guess, like in Idaho? So like here in California, like obviously like there's some really great riding and there's a ton of people who ride. So it's easy to find like groups to ride with and all that. But I think the state as a whole kind of has like for one thing, like we're building out super fast, right? So houses popping up everywhere, warehouses, whatever. So we're losing some of the riding spots and trails and things, but there's also kind of a climate of like, the dirt bike trails just aren't a priority for people, I think, who manage the forests or whatever here in some cases. Right. It seems like Idaho might be, I don't know, more friendly in terms of like the community for riding, but what's your take?
We have some local places where there's a neighborhood close by. And the mountain bikers and the hikers, they don't want dirt bikers up there.
So that's true everywhere.
Yeah, I think it is.
Fair enough.
But I mean, the dirt bike community up here, it's so welcoming for everything. And you can go ride wherever, you'll make friends as soon as you see the person on a dirt bike. You're like, oh, hey, you right here? Oh, I ride here. Okay, we're friends now, you know?
That's one of my favorite things about this community is like I've met so many awesome people and like made friends, but through exactly that, like you just, you know, grab guys on the trail or whatever. And yeah, very cool.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to shift gears a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
I had some questions around like, and I think this question comes from, you know, having followed the Enduro Cross, you know, extreme enduro sport for quite a while. And, you know, you of course, you know, it's like the big names in the sports are all European guys, right? And so we've got, you know, some people who are becoming more and more competitive from the US in this sport. And it's just like, it's always been kind of a question to me, like why, you know, we have tons of people here in the United States who ride dirt bikes, right? And it's like a lot of really great riders, but like we don't necessarily have people who are competitive in the sport in the way that the European community is. And I'm just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, like how you see that as somebody, especially an American who is getting into the sport competitively, and, you know, how you see it maybe developing to a point where the Americans are serious contenders in the sport, and going over and winning things like Eurosburg and Romaniacs and Sea to Sky and some of those other big races.
In my opinion, it's going to be pretty hard for an American to go over and just win Eurosburg. Because a lot of us over here, we don't really have a hard trials background, like most of them, like Billy and Graham and those guys. We're more moto-based, I feel like, over here in the States. But, I mean, in the end, Colton Haker, that guy, he's going to dominate Super Enduro and Enduro Cross. Because he's got, like, a mixture of everything, motocross, trials. And Enduro Cross is, I mean, you could ride all of it, but if you don't ride Enduro Cross, you're not going to be good at it. And that's where he's kind of like, I want to say the GOAT at Enduro Cross, you know?
So how come more Americans aren't into, you know, trials riding, I guess? Like that seems like such a, I don't know, British thing almost. Like,
well, yeah,
it's probably too narrow.
It probably comes from having like the lack of land mass, right? You have like,
I guess, yeah.
You know, it's like you know, a lot of Japanese manufacturers also manufacture trials bikes. But I don't know. I guess it's always, I've always thought that it's just a lack of real estate. You know, trials riding
forces you to trials ride
much less real estate. So maybe I don't know. Not to answer the question for you.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know the answer to that, because I mean, I feel like we do have some trials presence here, but not like Europe. Europe, it's like, I mean, you look at soccer. They're like, they'll punch someone in the face if it's the other team. They're like just amped about soccer. When over here, I mean, it's not really like that. Speaking on the dirt bike side of things.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny how that is.
That could be. I guess they don't have a ton of motocross in Europe either. Like motocross is a US thing, I think.
Yeah.
For the most part. So it's just a different background.
I mean, they got that MXGP, and that's massive. There's like, it's almost like Redbud here. I feel like Redbud's a really big motocross part of America.
Right.
Overseas, it's like, I mean, guys, they got those chainsaws. They're going nuts, you know, just crazy.
So maybe it'll spread around. I mean, guys like you coming up, you know, from the stateside and killing it. Yeah, who knows?
I mean, I'm a huge advocate for making Enduro Cross or hard enduro more of a, you know, competitive sport here in the United States.
Yeah,
I think that would be awesome. I think, you know,
yep.
I mean, that's kind of why we started the podcast, and then, you know, some small ways to, you know, just kind of
contribute to the space.
Yeah, to make it more of a popular sport, and that, you know, people will learn about it and maybe become interested in it and want to get out there and, you know, try it out for themselves. Maybe we can, maybe one day,
make it do our part to make it accessible, I guess. Like, you know, talk about enduro, put it in front of people, you know, get techniques out there, get guys like you who know what they're talking about, and to share your wisdom, which is awesome. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, I guess, career, huh?
Yeah, no, I think that's, I mean, I was curious when you're talking about things like school, like you're really planning to make this like a full-on career, like this is your main focus,
which is amazing.
Right now. Yeah, no, fully support that. You should do that.
Super jealous.
But yeah, like, is that the plan for you? You're going, you know, full bore on making enduro riding a career?
Yeah, that's the plan right now. And I mean, in my eyes, I want to make myself not just like the best rider, but I want to have the most value. So with social media, and being a good athlete and being a good presence around like younger kids and older adults just to inspire other people.
I think that's super cool. There's kind of this interesting, like, it's everywhere you look now, but like, you know, wherever you go in business or whatever industry, but there's this thing that like, you can't just do a thing well, right? You have to also be a good ambassador for it, right? You've got to know how to figure out Instagram or YouTube or do something, you know, to put content out around it.
Yeah. I was reading that on, I follow Alex Honnold, who's like a big name in rock climbing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with who he is, but I remember he posted something. He was saying it's like, it's not good enough to be, you know, the top 1% of professional athletes. You also have to be a professional communicator. You have to, you know, and I think that's kind of the case all around with, you know, especially not these big name sports. I mean, it's not like you're playing, you know, football or something
basketball
like that.
star or whatever. Yeah. You take home millions,
$30 million contract to ride for the year. You're, you know, you're having to kind of also be entrepreneurial. You're having to create a business, and you're having to, you know, obviously you're growing on Instagram, which is probably where most people will know you from at this point. But like, you know, that kind of dynamic of becoming a professional athlete and also being a, you know, this entrepreneur and trying to figure out how to make money in a career doing this. So like, that's a really interesting thing. Like, how do you see that? Like, how do you find a way to make kind of a sustainable living doing this kind of going forward?
So the way I kind of see it, there's only 3 guys really in the like extreme enduro area, so Enduro Cross and hard enduro, that can make a living: Tristan Hart, Colton Haker, and Cody Webb. And so for all of us, we got to fight at the bottom, and we're trying to get to that level. So in my eyes, I'm just trying to progress as much as I can as a rider and as a racer and a person, as well as expand my knowledge on trying to create sustainable income as for pursuing my dream.
So what are your sort of income sources? Like, you've got the Instagram channel, which you're growing, and everybody I think gets that there's like an influencer angle there. But it looks like you've got some merch too. Like, you know, I saw you pitching t-shirts at one point. Obviously some sponsorship going on. Is there anything else that's I'm missing from that list? What does that sort of picture, that ecosystem look like?
Well, so again, my mom and dad, they helped me out a lot, and I'm so thankful for it, because without them, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is sending out emails, getting discounts, and getting some free products from people. And that helps out so much with the whole racing aspect. But not only that, but I help my dad. He makes we fabricate custom iron railings for houses. So I help him with that. And then I'm starting I have been doing kind of a social media management thing here locally. And I get a little bit of side money from that. And I mean, we live kind of in this, I want to say like older people. I don't want to like sound offensive or anything, but they're older people where I'm at.
Old guys like us.
Not that old.
Oh.
Ouch, I'm done.
But no, yeah, just doing things for them, getting paid, and still pursuing the dream.
No, that's cool. So kind of pulling the pieces together. I like that. You know, sounds like, you know, hustling for it.
Yeah, actually, so you mentioned the kind of social media influencer consulting gig. I was going to ask you about if you have like maybe some advice for people. I mean, obviously there's like a million and one different you know, moto Instagram channels that you can follow on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. And it's like
not as many with original content though.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of them kind of resurface old videos from other people, but without giving away your secret sauce, like how have you gotten to the point where, you know, you obviously got a significant following at this point? Like, what do you find works best to grow your Instagram channel?
Well, I mean, for one, you gotta go with the trends, you know? So, I mean, I was just putting out original content, pretty much like, here's a video of me doing a wheelie. Here's a video of me crashing. Here's a picture with like some weird caption or inspiring caption, whatever, you know? And then Reels came along. And I was like, oh, hey, this is a new thing. Instagram wants you to use it, so I'm going to use it. And you pick a trendy song that some like major influencer was using. You put it to your niche, and you just keep doing that. You keep repeating the process.
Okay.
I'm going to have to...
Yeah, we'll have to put some more music to our stuff, I guess.
Yeah, we tried to go for reels, and then it just like killed our subscriber growth. Like, I don't know what we did wrong.
I think our audience is a bunch of old dudes like us, and reels are like, what?
Yeah, well, I mean, that could totally be it too, you know?
Yeah. We need to, I guess we need to start doing some more trendy TikTok dances on our videos. And,
please no.
No.
Nobody wants to see me dance.
No, they don't. But
it's like, you go.
We'll have to grab a link from you, and we'll throw that up when we post this up, and see if we can push some people over to your businesses, which would be cool.
Oh yeah. Well, I want this link. I want to put that in my bio. Hey, look at me get chased out by the rain. First podcast.
Hey, there's not too many people that can say that.
Just tell people you were on the same podcast as Graham Jarvis, and that'll be good.
Yeah, be like, oh, I was runner up. I mean, what do you got? You know?
That's awesome. So, and I guess like you've also got the merch sales going on, right? Like it looks like t-shirts and maybe some other stuff. I'm not sure what all's going on there, but
you could say it was merch, but I kind of realized from a consumer standpoint, I didn't want to make merch to make money. I almost want to make merch because people, they like what it stands for as like a lifestyle or a brand.
I like that.
Something they could connect to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? It's like everybody's got, a t-shirt with their logo on it or something, right? But like, unless it's interesting in its own right. And we run a business, and we've had that conversation over and over again. They're like, if you're going to put out, a product, like it's got to be a product that stands on its own. It can't just be, throw your logo on a t-shirt or something.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have something to make money. You got to do what you love and have the money come to you.
That makes sense. I like the, get product sponsorship angle too. Like, I feel like there's a certain amount of hustle, which I totally respect in that, going out and getting the product that you need to stay competitive, but trying to work that angle. Do you pitch people that, hey, I've got this Instagram channel, or I'm on YouTube or whatever, or is it like, I'm going to show up in the race, or both? Like,
in the beginning, it was a lot of just having a resume. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do. And I just send it out, whatever product I feel like I needed and I could represent in a good manner, I would send that resume out. And then now I'm at 20,000 followers, and it seems like they almost come to me, it's kind of weird how that turns. Cause it's like, it's kind of weird, dude, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've got real influence now, and we're kind of in the beginning stages of that, but we can definitely see how buying decisions for brands are being made off of people's recommendations, people like us who are out there and are part of the community, and those people who are, using products and saying, hey, this thing is complete crap, or this thing is amazing. Like, right. I mean, I think brands, especially in your situation where you are, you have a
you're winning
career,
races. Yeah.
You're winning races. You got a full career in front of you. Like, I mean, people are going to take your word very seriously, especially from a product and product placement standpoint. So, I mean, I can only expect that, obviously brands are going to come to you, because I mean, that counts for a lot.
Yeah.
But
super cool.
Well, so like if someone gives me a product and I'm like, I believe it's going to be a really good product, but I get it, and it turns out to not be the product that I thought it was going to be, I'm not going to just crap talk the product, because let's say if like my friend or brother come up to me like, hey, I'm pretty much going to spend $1,000 on this product. What do you think? I'm going to give him my honest opinion.
Sure.
Because I mean, would I spend that money on it? Would I want to put him in a situation where he's going to have to struggle with fixing it every time he goes riding and so on?
No, and I think that authenticity, like over time, that's worth more than, just representing a brand just because you got some money out of it or something, probably like that honesty, I guess, honesty factor.
Yeah. I feel like that goes such a long ways in just friendship relationships and just with the community in general.
Yeah. Especially in this community where everybody's so brand loyal.
Well, and it's a small community too. I mean, there's only so many people in the space, and like it all kind of comes back around after a while. You realize like people all over, whatever, and it's all connected.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Cool.
I think we've exhausted our list of questions.
Yeah. we're pretty much through. Well, so we got some bonus questions. We'll wrap up and we'll kind of do rapid fire. Just sort of a yes or no or quick answer or whatever. And we'll wrap with that if that makes sense.
All right. Yeah, cool.
Jen, you want to kick off?
Yeah. Well, so we posted this out there way too late to try to get some bonus questions.
We tried to do like questions from the community, which we got a couple, but we came up with some of our own because we didn't get on this one in time. So.
I'm going to start with that one since the guy was cool enough to shoot us a question. I think it was one of your followers, so thanks for kind of recirculating that. It's from Nick Potts. He said he wanted to know how it felt when you took out Colton Haker in last year's Enduro Cross.
Dude, oh my gosh. Nick, are you serious? I go to school with this guy, okay?
Okay.
Nice.
I figured there was some backstory here. I wanted to hear this.
So, I mean, this is my first year doing pro AMA Enduro Cross. I'm getting spanked out there. I'm going through the rock section. I want to say I had an auto clutch in my 350. And I go to get out of the rocks. I pick up my bike, throttle stuck, wide open. Colton comes around to lap me in the turn. My bike shoots off, takes him out. Tristan passes him. It was all on, I think it was on like TV or something.
Oh man, that's
I guess awesome and embarrassing at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my. I mean, and Colton, I don't know if you guys know this, but he lives up here now, not in California.
I didn't know that.
I didn't realize he lived in Idaho. I thought he lived somewhere like in Georgia or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was probably one of my like highlight embarrassing.
I mean, you survived. You're still riding.
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't even like a close call. There's a video I put on my Instagram. I want to say it's a Reels. And I go to roll the tire double because I'm dead tired. And here comes Cooper Abbott just hauling butt off the tire double. Dang near lands on me. Like I got to like slide out of the way.
Wait, so are you still running the auto clutch after that experience?
Nope. Well, not for that reason. It's more because as you get into that high intensity, using the clutch a lot more, it seemed like the auto clutch wanted to fade and not work like a normal clutch should.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I came off of
John ran it for a while.
The bike I bought, came with an auto clutch. And so I ran it because I didn't see any point in replacing it.
Too lazy to change it.
And I got so much shit for not being able to use a clutch ever. Anyways, I finally made the change.
This guy, so I'm on the first ride he does on like a real manual clutch. And the whole time he's like, oh my God, I can do wheelies. Oh my God, I can hop over stuff. Oh my God. Like,
the front
it was so funny.
So much easier. Yeah.
Like, I know, I've been telling you. So funny. What's something that most people don't know about you?
I don't know. I mean, I post a lot on social media, you know.
There's nothing left.
Yeah, really. I mean,
fair. I know the feeling.
I got a dog. I mean,
all right, fair enough. I'll take it.
How did you choose your rider number?
Okay. So it started out as 105, my number. It was my birthday, October 5th. And when I got my AMA card I think it was for the pro season, my dad's like, oh, we need to use the last 3 digits of the AMA card. I was like, why? Like, I don't know. It's just what it says. And apparently it was a recommendation if your number's taken. So the last 3 digits of my AMA card. And that's the number I've been running ever since.
All right.
That works.
That works. Yeah. Any advice for somebody who wants to become a professional rider? Like what's your 2 words of advice?
It takes more sacrifice and dedication than you think.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Sure. Last question. 2 strokes or 4 strokes?
I don't want to upset the 2-stroke fans, but I mean, I want a 4-stroke, so I got to stick with my guns.
John loses that bet.
Yeah.
He's on a 2-stroke. I'm on a 4-stroke.
I thought you were on a 2-stroke, and then I actually started watching your videos. And I was like, wait, no, that is a 4-stroke because I just saw it.
He made the right choice, John.
Sherco 300. My KTM brain said 2-stroke, and that's how that happened.
Yep.
Well, dang, I hope he didn't lose too much.
No. He has to buy a 4-stroke. That's the deal now.
Oh, okay.
He'll be better off for it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's all the questions we've got for you, man. Super, super appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us. We had a ton of fun. I feel like we always, we've only done a couple of these so far, but we're ramping up. We always learn from them. And that's like the most fun part is, you've given us some tips and some tricks and stuff, insights that, make us better riders and sort of more connected to the community, which is awesome. So thank you.
Yeah.
Really cool.
If you're ever in California, hit us up. We'll show you where the good trails are around here. And,
yeah.
I'm sure
absolutely.
At some point we'll be in Idaho.
We'll show you the trails and you can teach us how to ride.
Well, if you guys ever up in Idaho, let me know. Northern Idaho.
We may well take you up on that. We've been trying to get out a little bit more. So that'd be super cool.
Gold Creek Lodge, they have a lodge, of course. I mean, hence the name. Yep. But they also have yurts you could stay in, bring the family, and go ride. Awesome place.
Sounds amazing.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Definitely on the bucket list.
Awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
And
cool, man.
I just want to say thanks for having me on,
Dude, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for being communicative and getting back to us quickly. Shoot us some links. If you have links that you want us to represent, we'll put those together and put them in the description for wherever we post. And we'll send you a draft and give you a chance to use content from this or whatever you want to do with it. We can figure all that out. But we'll stay in touch.
All right, cool. Awesome. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
man. Thank you.